Hi guys, I'm Nina. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I do videos on motherhood, lifestyle, and cleaning videos. And recently, if you have seen my videos, you know that I have been doing some major decluttering of my house, going through and just making space for items that I no longer need or don't really use. I've been donating them, giving them away, getting rid of them, and creating more space in our home for things that we actually use. And it has been very satisfying. And while I've been doing all of this decluttering and minimizing, I realized that there were quite a few baby products that I have had in my home that we really don't use and I wouldn't recommend to new moms. So I went ahead and put together a list of baby items that I regret buying and wish that I hadn't spent money on. So hopefully this video is helpful for you if you are a new mom or you're trying to figure out what items to put on your registry and what items you won't actually need. There are so many products that are marketed to moms, so it can be overwhelming to figure out which products you'll really need and use and which products you can save money on and you don't need to invest in. I now have two little ones. I have a toddler and a 6-month-old, so I feel like I've really gone through a lot of stages of early childhood and those beginning newborn phases, and I'm able really to reflect now and look back to see which items I would not recommend. I'm just gonna jump right in and give you guys my list of items that I don't recommend, and the first one is a wipe dispenser. I feel like they look cute, they seem functional, but they are so unnecessary, and honestly, we had one and never ended up using it, so it's something that I just recently gave away. For us, I feel like with two little ones, and even with just when we had one little one, we kind of moved the wipes around as we needed them. So we would have some in our room, but sometimes you end up bringing it to a different room and grabbing a new pack. So it just really didn't make sense to have a wipe dispenser. It was much easier to have wipes that are just easy to move around as needed, or put them in the diaper bag or take them out or move them to a different location. So I would not recommend getting a wipe dispenser. The second item that I would not recommend getting is a playpen. Now I know that this might be a little controversial, so you can let me know if you disagree below, but for us, we really did not need a playpen, and we had one that we never ended up using. I feel like playpens, they can be functional, but only for such a short season of like when your baby is crawling and you want to leave them in a designated area, but then once they start walking and getting more mobile, then it kind of just becomes useless. And if your babies are anything like mine, my baby always wanted me near them for the most part, so it wasn't like I could just throw them in the playpen and then ignore them and walk away. And I am talking about the ones that like are a big area. I'll put a picture of what I'm talking about right here in case I'm using the wrong word for it. I'm not talking about the playpens that they sleep in like when you're traveling. I'm talking about the ones that you use to let them play in inside of your home. Anyways, I feel like I couldn't just like leave my kid in there and walk away, because they would just feel like they're in a jail cell and they wouldn't like that feeling. It made more sense for me to just create some space in our living room and put a mat out and let them kind of roam around and crawl around on the mat. And it made more sense as well, just because when they're at the age to really play in a playpen, they're not even super mobile anyway, so there's only so far that they could get. But I wouldn't recommend getting that item if you are a new mom and that's on your registry. The next item that I would not recommend is newborn shoes. Newborn shoes are so cute, they're so adorable, but you will not use them. I made the mistake my first time around and also my second time around, where I see these newborn shoes and they're just so cute that I feel like I have to buy them. But in reality, I do not put shoes on my baby, and she's 6 months already, and I think she's worn shoes maybe one time for church for cute pictures, and that just isn't something that you're gonna really use if you get newborn shoes. Maybe get one pair that's gonna last you the first 6 months, but I wouldn't recommend going crazy and buying a bunch of different shoes. It's actually better for their feet to breathe, and especially because their feet are growing at such a rapid pace that it's actually beneficial for them not to be wearing shoes, and even not even to be wearing socks. Sometimes just letting their feet breathe and have that space to grow naturally. One thing that I would suggest instead of getting newborn shoes, especially if you have a little girl, is to get stockings. That is what we would use. Like if we were going out, we would just put her in cute little stockings, and it was perfect because it covered her feet. I felt like it kept her warm if her toes were cold, but it was way more functional than shoes that are falling off and you're losing every 5 seconds. Along that same category, I also found baby mittens to be useless. I know some people like them, but for me personally, I feel like one, you lose the mittens so easily. They disappear in the wash and they just weren't really functional. I believe they're also a hazard, like for sleeping. I'm pretty sure you're not recommended to let your baby sleep with those mittens on. So it kind of felt pointless to have them because the only time that you're really supposed to use them is when they're awake. And when they're awake, you're pretty much watching them anyways. Instead, I would suggest investing in a good baby nail filer and just keeping up with filing the baby's nails. I definitely recommend an electronic one, and they have really great ones. I'll link one down below that I love that is really easy and safe to use with newborn babies without feeling like you're gonna hurt them or go too far. One that has a buffer is definitely recommended over mittens. Next baby item that I would not suggest getting is any pajamas with buttons. You can ask any mom this and they will vouch for this. Do not get pajamas with buttons because at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and sometimes 4 a.m. you are not going to be wanting to button 20 buttons on their pajamas. It is way easier to get zip up pajamas, preferably ones that go from the foot up and back down. It makes diaper changes a lot easier in the middle of the night, and just getting your baby dressed in general, especially like with 2 now, I don't have extra time or hands to be buttoning things. It's way easier to get stuff that is easy to put on and off. Next item that I would not recommend is baby powder. We were gifted some baby powder and it's still sitting there unopened. I recently got rid of it because I figured if we haven't used it up until this point, there's no point in keeping it. I would recommend getting a good wholesome brand of diaper ointment. That is an essential that we use all the time, is diaper cream if they're having a rash. I love Tubby Tot. That's my go-to brand when it comes to ointments and creams because I feel like they have safe, clean ingredients, but I would not recommend putting baby powder on your registry. I feel like that's a thing of the past. Do your own research, check it out and see if that's something that you actually want to put on your baby. For me, it is not. The next item that I personally wouldn't recommend is a bumper for the crib. I feel like it sounds great and safe and necessary. As a new mom, I was really worried about my baby's hands and limbs getting stuck in the holes of the crib, but surprisingly, that just has never been an issue. So I don't think that bumpers are really necessary. You'll be surprised how well your baby can do in the crib without those bumpers. The next item that I wouldn't recommend, and let me just put a little disclaimer, I would say I wouldn't recommend getting a ton of these, is burp cloths. I think you can get away with just having 1 or 2 burp cloths. It's something that I got rid of recently, was like a whole stack of burp cloths, because without even realizing it, people give them to you, and like we had someone on a registry and we just ended up with like this huge stack when we really use the same 2 or 3 burp cloths over and over again. I'll list the ones that I love down below that I get from Amazon, which are super soft and kind of my go-to ones, and I don't think it's necessary to have a ton of them. It's just more laundry and more things to stuff into your drawers that you don't actually need. And lastly, the item that I wouldn't recommend is a baby walker. This one is more from a health standpoint based on the research that I've done. I would instead recommend getting a baby bouncer over a baby walker just because of your baby's hip development. I know that this is another hot topic, so do your own research before you put one on your registry so that way later you don't regret putting the wrong item or putting an item that you don't feel comfortable actually using with your little one. I am also just going to share a very few essential items that I would recommend, things that I feel like have lasted the test of time and I've used over and over again. I do have a full thorough list in one of my other videos that I'll link down below to share all of my newborn essentials, but just some top ones that I wanted to share of items that I would rebuy again and would recommend. My first one is my baby owlet monitor. So that is my go-to. I always recommend that to new moms, is the baby monitor for their heart rate and their breathing. I think that has given me such a peace of mind when it comes to sleep, and also my sleep, giving me the peace of mind to be able to fall asleep and know that there is the owlet baby monitor tracking my baby's breathing and heart rate over the night. I know it's not a medical device, but it is a great essential for newborns. The only other item I'm going to recommend in this video, and then you can check out my other one for a full list, is pacifiers. I feel like you cannot have enough pacifiers. They make such a difference, and if your newborn isn't taking a pacifier, I would definitely recommend trying other brands. So that's something that I would put on my registry, is a few different brands of good quality pacifiers. Quality does make a difference with pacifiers. I've noticed that if I try some of the cheaper pacifiers, my baby will not take them, but the more expensive ones they love. I believe the brand that I'm using is Tippy Tommy. I think that's what it's called. I'll put it down below as well. My baby is picky with pacifiers, but she loves this brand, and I would recommend getting way more than you think you need because they disappear very quickly. So that is all for my list of baby items that I regret, and also some tips on items that I would buy again. I hope that this video was helpful for you if you are working on what items to put on your registry, or maybe you're looking for an item to gift a friend or a new mom that you know. If you like this video or you found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next video.